Let's be honest, parenting can be messy and hard, but also so rewarding. In this podcast, we'll share all the ups and downs of parenthood, as well as share some of our favorite tips and tricks for parenting using both our experiences and expertise from our professional lives as a speech and language pathologist and teacher, but also our everyday lives as moms, just trying to balance it all. We're so glad you could join us.
Hello and welcome to And Then We Had Kids. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Sheena.
And I know we're like kind of back in the whirlwind of school, even though I'm like, my kids are still on summer hours. So it's like great that they go to sleep still like 8:39. And then the mad rush of this 7:30 to 8 o'clock hour in the morning is a treat.
Getting out the door.
Yeah, but it does, we got all like the fall activities coming up and thinking about what to do with your kids, and like Chime has kind of shifted now the camps are done. And I'm really excited of who we have today to talk about something to do with our kids that I know my kids would enjoy. And Sheena, you've already actually got to experience this firsthand.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk a little bit about what this is, but we are excited to have someone here from Little Kitchen Academy.
Yeah, so Little Kitchen Academy is a Montessori-inspired cooking academy where kids are really involved, starting from, making the recipe from scratch all the way to like prepping and serving their meals. And then I really liked that they kind of sit down as a community and eat together, and the kids are responsible for cleaning up. So we actually have Phable Meyerhoff, one of the owners of Little Kitchen Academy, at their Lincoln Park and Plainfield locations. She's also a mom of two. So Phable, welcome to And Then We Had Kids.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great.
So talk to us a little, I gave a brief intro, and my older son did have a chance to try out one of the classes, and he had an absolute blast. He actually, as we were driving home from the class, said, I wonder what I'll make at my next recipe class. So he had a blast, but kind of talk to us a little bit more about what is Little Kitchen Academy and how did it get started?
Yeah, so I'm glad he had a great time. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The hope is that they take their recipes home and that it inspires them to do more, in our kitchen. So that's awesome. So Little Kitchen Academy is like you said, it's a Montessori-inspired cooking classes for kids. And really what's awesome about it is the cooking is like the vessel to also learning all of these other things. And so we're teaching food literacy and nutrition, and we're teaching fractions, and we're teaching how to sit at a community table together, and we're getting to do all of this stuff in this class. And it's so fun to watch these kids gain confidence and empowerment and also get to use tools. I mean, probably cheesy, but my favorite thing is, we have these KitchenAid mixers. If people have them, they're not cheap and they're huge and they're kind of dangerous when they get running and going. And then you get to I don't know, I never let my kids use them in the kitchen ever. And then I went to, we found LKA, and I was like, oh, this is great. And we started this business model, and it's like, oh, they get to use this in this kitchen. This is great, And so I love that we get to show them how to use these tools and experiences that, for me, I have two little ones, and I don't think to let them do these things in our kitchen. So I think it's great. It teaches confidence and empowerment and education on so many different things other than food, but that's a little bit about it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, even to the point that like my son was pollinating like the produce.
Yes. Yeah. So we have a herb wall where we grow our own herbs. So the idea is that the kids can come in, learn about it, learn how seeds grow and what we have to do. And then we can harvest it ourselves and add it into our recipes to really show like, this is how it works. This is where food comes from. Because we want children to think about, where does your food come from? What are you putting in your body? What's happening right now? And so we can spend so much time just on that and like pollinating and talking about how it works and the water that it needs and the sunlight that plants need and so on and so forth. So it's, there's so much there, and it's a lot of fun to see the different steps that they get to take.
Yeah. What age groups can participate? Like my son is 5, and I think he participated in like a group that was for ages 3 to 5, but how, what's the age range for kids that can participate in these classes?
Yeah, so it's 3 to teenage. So we do 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 12, and then 13 plus. And then the teen nights are focused more towards teenagers, and each group is focused towards their age level. So, we can go up to 18 and start at 3.
Nice. So like when I hear like Little Kitchen Academy, it sounds really cute and really fun. So kids, I haven't taken any of my kids yet. Operative word being yet, because it sounds really great and something that they would enjoy. So parents bring their kids, or they go with their kids, they drop off their kids, and they come for like, can you just describe what a class looks like, and how do you decide? I guess there's 2 questions. What does a class look like, and how do you decide what you're making?
Yeah, so a class looks like this. So if you take our 3 to 5-year-old class and say it's from 9 to 12 on Saturday. So you would show up, drop off is at, class starts promptly at 9. So drop off is there. Parents don't come in to the set the environment. And so they walk in and it's right away, let's start greeting, check in, and then you're a chef. So let's look at our chef coats. Let's look at our chef shoes. How do we enter the environment safely? So we got to clean our hands, make sure that hair is pulled back, so on and so forth. And then you'll go to their station. There's 10 stations. So they work at their station. And we'll get started on the class, and then the class runs that time. And at the end, you have our community table. So after we make everything and everything's ready to go, we'll bring all of the students back to the table, and they'll get to sit and eat and talk and converse and talk about, more about, okay, what did we make? What did you learn? How are things going? And then they get to share that with mom or dad or whoever picks them up, the food that they're bringing, and they can bring their leftovers home with them. So that's how the class runs. And you asked, I'm so sorry, the second question was
about like the food, like the menu. How do you guys like come up with those? Like, is it like a meal that they're making at the end of the 3 hours? Is it like a snack kind of thing? I mean, I imagine it was pretty extensive with all the things Sheena was talking about that her little guy got to do.
Yeah.
So we have, we never do the same recipe twice, and we have a lot of different types of recipes. We try to, in a session, we're typically session based. So we try to, in a session, have like a breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, or, savory, sweet, to give options. But we pick those recipes, and we pick our recipes based off of what's going on. So what's in season, so what's growing, what can we do together, what's happening. So we pick that, and sometimes it's snacks, and sometimes we'll make like a meal and then a drink to go along, just kind of depending on what's going on in the class and what level the kids are at and what they're able to do in that class and in that time frame. But everything's based off of seasonality, healthy, and choices, options. So the beauty is, if you talking about sweeteners, hey, we're going to add a sweetener to this, we'll give the kids choices. You can look at honey, you can look at sugar, you can look at maple syrup. What do you want to try? What do you want to do? So we add all of that into the recipes to allow for options and choices and try new things that maybe they haven't tried yet.
That's really cool.
I just have to interject too. Not only is their like kitchen set up nicer than my kitchen at home. I was like so jealous of how beautiful it was.
Like envisioning like a fun like cooking show.
I want to come here and cook.
Yeah.
But again, like I just loved, like from start to finish, it's just like such a wonderful, welcoming experience. Like my son walked in, and he's one of those kids that is either he's at one end of the spectrum. He's either super shy or super social and like can't stop talking. And there's like not really an in between. And so he walked in and he was in his super shy mode. And the teachers of the class just came in and they were so welcoming, recognized he had, I think, probably a Minecraft shirt on or something, and just making those small connections to help the kids feel a little bit more comfortable with their situation. He got his little chef's jacket on and his Birkenstock clogs on, and it was just such a great experience. And then I was able to come in at the very end of the class when they were already at the table eating, and I wrote it down somewhere and I don't have my notes in front of me, but I also love just the sustainability that you guys really focus on, that the table was made out of like thousands of chopsticks.
Yes. Yeah. And you can count them. Like it's fun for the kids. Like actually see them there. I think it's 30,000 plus chopsticks for the table. It's insane.
Yeah, and then the chairs were like recycled from the Coca-Cola factory, if I remember correctly.
I believe so, yes.
At the Plainfield location. Yeah, so it was so cool. And then I think that the piece at the end that I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about too is each kid got a token where they got to they learn about giving back to their community. So can you talk to us a little bit more about that piece that happens at the end of the class?
Yeah, so we're really big on giving back to the community, also being an active member in the community. And so we, at the end of the class, spend time talking about different ways you can give back. So each kid is given a token, and we spend time talking about different ways we can give back that are going on at the time. We have 3 options, and it's like environment, safety, and different things. And we give them that token. We say, hey, you have the power to make this decision. It's $1 back to whatever charity you want to give to. Here are the 3, and here's the information on each of the charities, and then you get to choose. And then they put their token in, and then we tally them up at the end and give back. So it gives them a lot of empowerment and learn how to be active roles in our community. And it's fun to see like what matters to them, like what's affecting them at that time, or what they're really focused on. Are you really focused on the environment? We were talking about different foods and harvesting foods and all the different things from the environment. Or are you really focused on self-care and what's going on in your life at this time? And so it really allows them to think for themselves and decide like, hey, what do I want to do with this? I have this power to do this, which is great.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What are the class sizes like? How many kids are in a class, and then how many teachers or staff is there to help?
There's 10 kids in a class, or up to 10 kids. So they all have their own individual workstations, own stove, own sink, all of it. And then there's one head instructor, or the lead instructor, who's running the class and going through the recipe with them and making the recipe along with them. Mm-hmm. And then there's 2 other instructors who are assisting during the class.
Okay.
The idea is, like the other instructors are there to assist, but the idea is that the kids do as much as they can. So we try not to step in, but for, helping move things around or clean things up or whatever it may be. So,
yeah, that makes
awesome. So we've talked a lot about Little Kitchen Academy. Can you talk to us a little bit just about yourself and kind of your journey to parenthood and how you ended up with Little Kitchen Academy?
Yeah. So I ended up with Little Kitchen Academy through the other owner, the partner. So I actually started with another franchise, Goldfish Swim School. I started with Goldfish, and I started when I was in college as a front desk employee and a swim instructor. I love kids, and I just wanted to work around kids. And I started there, and I started moving my way up through the business and ended up being like a general manager. And then at the time, the owner, his name's Rand, he came through and said, hey, I'm going to open multiple locations in, at the time, New Jersey, or that's where we opened multiple locations. And he said, hey, do you want to come on and do this with me? And I said, this is awesome. Yeah, like this is great. So let's do it. And so I helped open, we have 4, about to be 5 other locations in New Jersey. And so, I was doing all of that, working, learning management and doing all of that for the last 10 years. And then he came to me and said, hey, I found this business model. It was presented to me, like, what do you think? Like, look into this and tell me what you think. And I looked into it and completely fell in love with it. I have 2 sons of my own. And at the one time I only had 1, but I was thinking to myself, like, this is great. Like, this is something I would love my kids to do. And trying to look at the world in that new light now as a parent. Yeah. And I was like, I love this. This is wonderful. And so he said, great. Do you want to partner with me? And like, let's bring it to Illinois. And I said, yeah, let's do it. So my 10-year relation with him, then we decided to partner and bring LKA in. So I got to go out and do training in Vancouver with them and meet the whole LKA team. And it's been a blast bringing them in and learning about LKA and opening more. So it's been just a lot of fun doing that. I really love opening businesses. I think it's a lot of fun and it's very challenging, but very rewarding at the same point in time. So I'm happy to do that with like some kid-centric businesses and really help give opportunities to families and things for kids to do that makes them an active role in our community. So
Yeah. And so right now, for those that are listening from Illinois, there's a location already open in Plainfield.
Mhm.
There's one opening up in Lincoln Park this fall, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And then one in Naperville coming in 2024. But Little Kitchen is not just in Illinois, it's nationwide, correct?
It's becoming nationwide.
Okay.
Yeah. So Little Kitchen Academy started in Canada. So
Okay.
then it started in Vancouver, Canada. So they have their first location out there. So all of the training and everything's there, which is really fun to travel to and do. And then they opened before Illinois opened, or Colorado, that's the other United States location. There was Century City in LA and Portland. So there's very few. There's 3 opened in the US right now.
Okay.
And then Plainfield was 4. So, we're working on bringing it to Illinois or to the United States. So
yeah. Oh, that's great.
I just love like bringing it back to, for me, I would much rather bake than cook in my life, like true story. And like dinner time is like, ugh, like if I could hire somebody to do that for me every day, I would gladly do that. But I think part of why I find it so challenging is that I'm at home with my now 3 kids, and they want to sometimes be involved, but if they've done something like Kitchen or Little Kitchen Academy where they have that experience, that knowledge, that hands-on, like working with the KitchenAid or maybe doing some like knife skills or cutting or just anything that has to do with like a meal prep, I think that makes our like quote unquote jobs as adults with our kids like more fun to get them involved with the process. So I just love this idea that they can go do something independently and then bring it back home and be able to like show off their skills. And like cooking is just a great creative outlet anyway.
yeah, it's really fun. My oldest is only 2, so he can't do classes yet. But I try to take my experience like in our own kitchen and be like, well, you can help me with this, you can help me with that. We're still learning that the stove is hot and what that means.
Starting there is important, yeah.
Yeah. But he always is like trying to reach and use his spoon to stir things and everything he can actively do with us, which is great. And it, like you said, it makes it more fun. Cooking dinner every night can get a little repetitive, but like bringing the kids in and like having their creative ideas and like, oh, can we try adding more cheese, or can we add the pepper, or can we add this? It's always like, okay, yeah, let's try, let's see what happens. And then they're usually more likely to eat it too. My son,
I think
true.
Yeah, even if my son didn't love everything, he's odd, he doesn't like whipped cream, but like that you guys made whipped cream from scratch and he tried it. And I think he was more willing to try it because he made it himself, versus from the can or whatever.
It's shocking how much, if you let kids like be involved in the process, that they're willing to try it. They may end up not liking it, but like they'll try it. It's not just, no, I won't do anything. It's like, okay, I put all this work in and I did this and that. And so let me try it. And it's like, great, this is fun.
Yeah.
Eggs are so much more fun when you make them yourself.
Yeah.
Do you have speaking of that kind of stuff, do you have any tips for how to kind of get your kids involved more with the kitchen, or how to help them with healthy eating or picky eaters? I know everyone deals with the picky eating stage, where it's maybe nuggets and mac and cheese only, but any kind of like tips or tricks that you have for folks that we can try at home?
Tips and tricks is just honestly get them involved. It's fun to get them involved and watch them see it. So like, hey, we don't like a tomato, or you think you don't like a tomato, let's show you how to cut it. We can cut it as wedges, we can cut it as slices, we can puree it and make a paste, we can put some salt and pepper on it, we can put garlic on it, we can put it in your eggs if you want, and it's just letting them get involved and see it and try it in different ways and realize like, hey, that ketchup that you're having with your nuggets most likely is also tomato. So like, let's show you how we got there. Like, let's puree it and see what happens. So I think it's just trying and letting them be involved, and hopefully that the more they're involved and realize they put that work in, they're more willing to try it and see what happens.
I think that's also that like Montessori lens where you're really kind of exploring like start to finish how things happen in their world. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything, and maybe this is on your website and I haven't found out yet, but if there's anybody with like a food allergy, is that a piece where you're just like upfront, like here's what we got going on? Or is there any kind of like accommodating to that if people want to get involved if they have a food allergy?
Yeah, so we're super accommodating to food allergies. They just have to let us know. We are peanut tree nut free regardless, everything we do.
Okay.
And then if there's like a gluten allergy or anything like that, we just ask that you tell us when you register. And there's a portion in the registration that will ask that, and we can accommodate that easily. And we don't cook with meats, fish, poultry, anything like that. So that helps in that regard as well.
Okay. Yeah,
There
that's
was
good.
also, actually, speaking of that, there was a little boy in my son's class that had juvenile diabetes, and the class was
Oh.
very accommodating to him and making sure that there were alternatives for him. So I appreciated how, just flexible that you guys are with the different needs our kids have.
Yeah, and it goes back to the choices. You get to
Yeah.
look at what our choices are. One recipe, there's multiple ways to do it and multiple ways to make it. So we'll give them the choices and let them be just as participating just as much as everybody else. So
Yeah. Great.
And if people sign up, like how can people find out more about Little Kitchen Academy if they're wanting to like take a class or several?
yeah, so follow us on our social media channels. We have a Facebook and Instagram page. We do have a newsletter, so you can go to our website and sign up for the newsletter, and it will tell you what's going on. We also have drop-ins. Now, Lincoln Park's not open yet, but you can take drop-in classes and experience one class to see what's going on. And there's some beautiful videos on our website too that kind of explain it in detail. Because I really feel like we can talk about it, but until you experience it, it's very different from talking to experiencing. So, the videos do a good job of trying to show what's occurring there because, like I said, the food and the recipes, the big part, right? And we're trying to teach food literacy and all of these different things, but there's so much other learning that happens too, and just other things we get to discuss and talk about. And you can't feel that until you're in the class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally true. And a great looking website. But anyway, so I was just perusing it. I lost my train of thought. Oh, so do you guys post your like menu or meals like ahead of time, kind of like I'm thinking of like around here, like a chopping block situation. Like, can you see for your like month ahead what you guys are making to like sign up for the class that maybe like I would think my child would be able to maybe the first time like be more involved in or interested in?
Yeah, so we typically don't put our recipes out that way. It's more of scheduled that week, or we do schedule them ahead of time, but if we have to change recipes or make accommodations for allergies or different things, we will change them. But it's kind of day of. It's supposed to be like exciting and surprising of like, oh, what are we making?
Okay. Okay.
So, we take in all the considerations of the allergies. We take in what's coming in season, and then we pick out our recipes. And then it's fun because it's like when you walk in the door, you can look at the chalkboard and you can see like, what are we going to make? We'll tell you then. So it's kind of one of those talking points and exciting things to do when you walk in.
Right.
And then the recipe is on the door for the parents as well, so that they can see what we're cooking.
Yeah. Cool. I took a picture of it so that we could make it again at home.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
So you're a mom of two little ones. Yes. Talk to us about what do you do for yourself? How do you kind of balance that work life, mom life?
I am still trying very hard to balance it if there is balance. So, it's been hard. My youngest is 3 months, and so we're still trying to get in a groove of something. And my oldest is just turned 2, so we're definitely in those dare I say, terrible 2 phases of just the tantrums and my oldest, I have 2 sons. My oldest, he is so independent, and I love it, right? Like I'm trying to raise him in an independent sense, but it bites me sometimes because he wants to do everything by himself at all the times. So to balance, what I tell myself I try to do is be present in the moment. So if I'm working so that then I can be present with them when I'm with them. And I just really try to schedule the best I can, which we all know it changes, but that's the best I have for right now and trying to balance it,
I think we're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's just the constant, just always just doing your best. Like, and that's what you're doing. And it looks different from day to day, but I mean, we've talked about it a handful of times in different ways, but that mindfulness piece, like being present, is so key. So you don't feel like you're being totally split in two or even more pieces, and not being able to feel like you accomplished anything at one spot or like one hat that you're wearing that day. So yeah, being present is huge and incredibly challenging.
Yes. I try to remind myself, you know, with my second being 3 months, when you're with your first, I don't know, for me at least, it was, when are these like sleepless nights going to end? When is this going to end? When is that going to end? Like, I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. And then it all passes you by. Because in the moment, like people are telling you, hey, it's going to change. Like you'll miss this. And you're like, there's no way. I don't know how you're saying this right now.
Yes.
And you're like in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And then I had my second, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my first is so old. Like, he's growing up, and like he doesn't need me as much, and like there's different things, and you realize like these are just phases. And I try really hard to remind myself that, like, for the balance, like, hey, yeah, I might be going through the sleepless nights right now, but it is a phase and it will end, and I will miss it, or hey, you know what, I'm nap trapped for the day. All right. Yep. Here's the best I got.
Yeah.
I find myself doing that too. Like, even last night, my youngest is 2, he'll be 3 in a couple months. And just snuggling with him in the middle of the night, because I am not always going to get to do that. So.
Right. Yeah. And my husband is 6'7". So my sons they're large.
Yeah.
They're tall. Like my 2-year-old looks like he's like 4. It's so funny. We were just on vacation and I take him out and he was having a tantrum, right? Like, it was the beach. We learned that sand can't go in our mouth and it can't go in our eye. He was like, I'm done. I want off the sand. And so we go up to one of the pools and he is just crying and throwing a fit. And we finally calm down. We work through it. And we get into the pool where, it's more fun because the sand's not there at the moment. Mm-hmm. And this woman's just talking to me, it's a family vacation spot. And she's like, well, how old is he? And I was like, oh, he's going to be 2 in a few days.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, that explains it. She's like, I thought he was like 4. And I'm like, oh, no. Yeah. Like, he's 2.
Yeah. Yeah. He looks like it, but nope. He's just right on track for where he should be.
Right. And he can like reach all of our counters. So I'm trying to like be better about that, because it's like I set something out. I'm like, how did you get that? Like, that was all the way back. I don't have any idea. So now everything can't be on our tables, our counters. So, it's interesting to say the least.
Keeps us on our toes.
Yes. Yeah.
Anything else that folks should know about Little Kitchen Academy, especially with your second location opening up soon?
Yeah, I mean, we're just really excited to be here. I would love people to come try it. Like I said, I feel that we can talk till we're blue in the face about it, but it's such a different feeling once you experience it. So come experience it. Come try a drop-in class and just see how it works, and the light that shines when your kids are like, I made this and I did this and I learned this and this. And I just think it's so much fun. And there's just something to be said, like when kids' faces light up because they did something on their own and they feel confident and empowered in it and they find, their space. And so, we're really excited. Follow us. And when we open up in Lincoln Park, come try a drop in and see how it goes. We also have open houses. So when we are able to bring people in, you can just come see the environment because we don't typically let the parents into the environment. Right. Yeah. You can come, you can walk around, you can see what the stations are, you can see what the tools we're using are and what our pantry looks like. So when the kids run out and tell you, oh, I got to go in the fridge and the pantry and do this, that, and the other thing, you can come see all of those things. And we'll post about all of that stuff as we open on our social media channels. So you can see the days and times to do that.
Great. I'm excited for the Lincoln Park location to open up. It's a little bit closer for me.
Yeah,
that was quite a drive. It's not easy to drive from Plainfield to Lincoln Park.
So, okay, well, thank you for joining us on And Then We Had Kids, and excited for Little Kitchen Academy to keep expanding.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. And we're excited to keep expanding. So look for the next location by you guys, a different place.
Yeah, we will, for sure. Thank you so much, Phable.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all of the latest, you can follow us on Instagram @_andthenwehadkids. Thanks again, and like we say, life used to be carefree, and then we had kids.